This is an SM Media production. Hello everyone and welcome to our 20th episode of SM Media's Road to Cheltenham. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always, and I feel like a kid at Christmas, as I imagine Calum does as well. Calum, we're 25 hours away for the first race. How excited are you that we're in the home straight?
Very exciting now. 20 is a nice round number to finish on, isn't it? So yeah, all good now. The 48-hour declarations are coming in, early doors, the early races. So yeah, really it's time to get stuck in, take advantage of the early booty offers and see what happens.
Definitely. We're just obviously this morning we're hearing news that the ground has changed to soft. Calum, your immediate thoughts to that? I know it's a surprise to us both.
Yeah, a little bit of a surprise. Cheltenham's had two meetings called off this year, and it usually drains quite well. Maybe this is an indicator that it's not quite draining as well as we expected. It was good to soft, bit of a shower yesterday, turned it to soft quite easily. There might be another shower on Tuesday, which would probably maintain soft ground for the opening day, maybe even Wednesday. So yeah, it's just something to bear in mind, that might be a little bit softer than most people were expecting, but particularly the beginning of the week.
Definitely. Well, what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to dissect all 28 races and as quickly as possible. We're going to try and do it in an hour. We're going to set ourselves a target. We're going to just get straight into it. We will start off with the Supreme, the 120, the opening day, the race we all want to get the winner, and Appreciate It leads it now at 5-4, Metier 4-1, Ballyadam 6-1, Soaring Glory 13-2, Blue Lord 10-1, Irascible 25s, Grumpy Charlie 33s, 4 Pleasure 40s. I never thought it'd be an 8-runner field in the Supreme. It kind of just shows the circumstances we're in, but I've been banging the Appreciate It drum for a few weeks, and the fact that it's now come up soft, I think just plays further into his hands.
Yeah, it'd be of interest to me as well, if he stayed odds against and the ground stays soft. It's also a bonus for Metier. It's probably a negative for the ones I quite like in terms of Ballyadams, Blue Lord maybe, and Irascible. Blue Lord 20-1, non-runner no bet each way at the start, so I'm happy enough with that position. I'm a bit disappointed Ganapathy isn't here. He's probably going to go County Huddle. Not just in terms of soft ground or good ground, we appreciate it. I just think he's a 7-year-old stayer. I don't think he's got that much sphere to improve that much. He's got £5 in hand. I'm still a bit loath to go into a 5-4 shot in the opening day, first race. You know, favourites. I think one favourite in the last 6 has won the Supreme. There's a lot better horses. I know Willie Mullins has won it with Ante Post, Duvan. Well, Duvan won it certainly. Duvan,
Vatua
won it,
and Champagne Fever as well. Yeah,
Champagne Fever's probably more of an appreciated profile, isn't he? Yeah, I'd still probably be against him, even if it was soft. I'd probably have a save on Metier, something like that.
I like Appreciate It. I think he's the best horse in the race. I think it's a poor Supreme. 8 horses. I think it just shows you that it's kind of COVID and the fact that Fairyhouse is a week earlier and Cheltenham's a week later. I think that could play a part in it. But I think Appreciate It's rock solid. I think I'd be probably the most disappointed if Appreciate It doesn't win. But I think this could, 4 Pleasure's one that interests me. I know he's the outside of the 8, but he could make the running.
Yeah, he could. Yeah,
which I think could maybe mean Appreciate It sits behind, and I think it just plays into Appreciate It's hands. I would like Appreciate It 4 Pleasure in a forecast, but I think the favourite. So I'm going for Appreciate It, and you are going for Metier.
Metier if it's soft, yeah.
Brilliant. We'll move on to the 155, the Sporting Life Arkle. We thought we were getting Shishkin against Energamine. Energamine sadly ruled out. Obviously, I think there was something to do with it. It was a scope or something, if I'm right.
Yeah, just a slight setback.
Which means Shishkin is 1-2, All Mankind 4-1, Captain Guinness 9-1, Franco de Port 11s, Eldorado Allen 50-1, and Numitor 150s. We've both agreed in Shishkin all this time, and I think now when I'm giving out, I think it's just the race even more suits Shishkin. I think this will be the second winning favourite of the day.
Yeah, 1-2 though is no, it's no.
It's not a good price, no.
It's not no penalty kick. You know, we thought
No.
this with Altior when he won the Arkle, and he was given a big scare, wasn't he? Before
Mhm.
his main rival parted the Sharble, wasn't it? He
Mhm.
parted in second last. It was more impressive winning the Supreme than he was winning the Arkle. And Shishkin could be the same. Captain Guinness may have given Energy a bit of a race last time before falling out, before the battle. He could do something quick here, but I think soft ground would maybe a bit more against him than it is against Shishkin. All Mankind had a really hard race last time out. I think that may have left a mark. Franco Deporte will be in to maybe pick up the pieces. So I think the way to bet this race, I think I'm quite keen to take on All Mankind. I don't think he likes Cheltenham too much. I think his stiff finish after his effort last time is quite hard to kind of see him hold on, really, particularly from a strong finish in Franco Deporte and Captain Guinness, who might have a bit more scope at really top grade 1 level. I think that's the way to play it if you're wanting to have a bet.
I think Shishkin will win. I think Captain Guinness will be second. I said in the preview night, if I could get a bet in All Mankind's falling at some fence, I think I would back it, because I just don't think he's Cheltenham material. I think he's too fast. Shishkin will win. I think 1-2 I wouldn't touch, but I think we're both kind of sitting quite happy with prices we've got on beforehand. But I think Shishkin will win. I think it's just one of those races you just sit back and enjoy.
Yeah, Shishkin should win, but it might have Franco Deporte without the favourite.
Mm-hmm. We'll move on to the 2:30, the ultimate handicap chase. Happy Go Lucky 7-2. I Right 1 for the team 13-2. Milan Native 9-1 and 11-1 bar. Calum, we've spoken to Kim Bailey, which was tremendous, and he was very sweet and happy go lucky in this race, and I know you are too.
Yeah, sweeten him all season. I think he's a novice to follow. And the fact that Lieutenant Rocco is out, I mean, the one that was vying for favouritism with the market with him, and the one that had a similar novice profile to him, it's just made his price really contract. 7-2 is probably a bit short for most people's liking in an Ultima, isn't it? But he is a novice. He looks scopy to improve, and the fact that it's not even a maximum field here either plays into his hands even more. I think you're in fairly prominently. Don't want any more rain from though.
No.
Wouldn't want it. I think he'll handle soft for sure, but he certainly wouldn't want any more rain. One for the team's probably his biggest threat. I right set in the market, but he's rated 154. He's been beaten off less marks than that. I mean, we know what he's all about. He's going to run his race, but he's not handicapped to win. Pim was interesting before the rain kind of turned against him out of the Henderson runners. Milan Native might run well. There's been a bit of money for discordantly. Some bookmakers are going 7 places, so you could easily land one 20-1 plus that can run into the frame for you.
Yeah, I do think Happy Go Lucky is the most likely winner. I think he's probably the best horse in the race, but I'm gutted Iscaria 10's not going here. He's going National Hunt Chase, but we'll save that for later on. OK Corral for Nicky Henderson and Mark Walsh interests me at 14s. He's been second in an Albert Bartlett 3 years ago in soft ground. He had very good chase form. I think it was before he got injured in January last year. I think he was probably a promising chaser. The fact he's in here off 151, I know he hasn't run for 14 months, but he would be one to keep an eye on. So I would probably play him each way. I think if you're getting 7 places, I think if he's anywhere near the form he was before he got injured, I think he's certainly one to be near enough at that price. I think 14-1's big. I think he's probably a good chance to finish in the frame.
Yeah, it might just be a prep run for the Grand National.
Yeah, possibly.
But Nicky Henderson will have one ready for this. He's won it with Beware the Bear, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Old Boy Vintage Clouds was third in 2018, second in 2019. He's quite well treated, but he hasn't really done much this season.
Yeah, so
he could come alive from the front, maybe hang on for a top 7 place at 20s as well. Yeah,
so you're going for Happy Go Lucky and I'm going for OK Corral. We'll move on to the big race, the Unibet Champion Huddle. The epic. This could be an epic race or it could cut up into a bad race. Honeysuckle 9-4, Epitaunt 7-2, Goshen 4-1, Abacadabra 7-1 and 10-1 bar. The president of the Honeysuckle fan club. I love her. I think she's a magnificent mare. 10 for 10. this will be a different test to anything she's faced before, but I think she's good enough to win this. I think she's probably the horse I would like to see win most this week would be Honeysuckle.
Yeah, out the front three, she's the most solid with that unbeaten profile, and this recent rain will help her. I like Abracadabra. I think he's primed to run a career best here, but the more it rains, the less you have to fancy him. Same with Sharjah, but they're both reasonable each way shouts as well. Probably Asparter deserves a mention as well. Again, recent rains against Silver Streaks slightly. Goshen could be a big player in this.
Yeah, Goshen. You've said it a couple of times. Goshen could either pull away or pull up, and it's that. I think he's that sort of horse.
And at 4-1, he's that sort of price that you've got. If you want to back him, you have to back up a pull up option.
Yeah,
it's also a fantastic story if they win.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those where you're happy enough to let go unbacked, and if he rolls on downhill and devours the ground up the hill, then you don't really need to have a penny on to be satisfied with the result. And Epatant's a bit of a worry for me.
Yeah. What's worrying you? What's worrying you with Epatant? Is it the ground?
She did it last time out okay in soft ground, but I think this is just a better race and it's a stronger pace. And M10 Gallop on soft ground, I think just tests her metal a little bit too much. She might find it a little bit too demanding, but she's a defending champion. She's got a lot of class. So and she's getting that £7 that Honeysuckle does as well. So
yeah, it's a very interesting
dangerous to roll her out.
Yeah, I hope Honeysuckle wins. I am a Honeysuckle fan. It would be great. I think it'd be a great story for Rachel Blackmore to win the Champion Huddle. I'm going for Honeysuckle, and I think Aspire Tower, her stablemate, could be second.
Yeah, if it is soft, Honeysuckle, Abracadabra each way. If the ground dries out, Sharjah and Abracadabra each way.
Brilliant. But we'll move on to the 340, the Close Brothers Mares Huddle. Concertista 11-10, Roxana 3-1, 15-2 Dame de Company, and 14-1 Bar. Concertista, I think she's another rock solid favourite in my opinion. I think she's better than everything else in here. I think Roxana's better over further. Concertista was amazing in the Mares Novice last year. She's been brilliant this year over a trip that we didn't know if she would suit or not, but she looks as if she's taken to it really well. I think she's nailed on here. I think she's probably the banker of a day one for me.
Yeah, she's been weak though in the last couple of days. I mean, notably so. It's been a sea of red. This is the rain coming in. I think Roxana been confirmed for this. The rain might give her more of a chance than most people expected. They're both officially rated 153. I think people are just looking at cold facts of form that Concertista doesn't have much in hand, but she is by far the most likely winner, by far the most unexposed. It's just whether is this going to be a stamina test, because it might take her out of the comfort zone. It might really play into Roxana's hands if they go a brutal gallop. I don't really see anything in it that suggests that it will be that bad. Floressa will probably try and make all. Manila Melody might be a spanner in the works as well, because those two could go from the front and probably try and run the sting out of Concertista maybe, and if they do that, I'll just set it up for Roxana. So I think one of the front two will win. If they go a sensible enough gallop, Concertista will win easily. If they go really hard and it becomes a grind and soft ground, Roxana then comes into the equation a bit more than I would have expected.
Interesting. I like Manila Melody. Could probably be an each way option. I think she's 28-1, but I'm with the favourite. I know I get the soft thing, but it was probably softer last year when she won the Mares Novice, and it will be this year. Roxana, I like her, but I like her in the stairs. I just think Concertista, quicker turn of foot. I think she'd probably just be the better horse on the day.
Yeah, so there. I still think she's the best horse in the race, and definitely the most likely winner. I'll stick with Concertista. Yeah, so
2 votes for Concertista. We'll move on to the 4:15, the Boodles Juvenile Handicap Huddle, formerly the Fred Winter. Fascinating race. St Sam leads the market 11-2. Hoogery 6-1. Coulter, which has been gambled by Dermot Weld at 17-2. Bustleton 9-1 and 12-1 Bar. I don't have a massive opinion in this race. There's only one that that sticks out to me at a price, and I can see he's drifting a lot. Balco Saint for the Williams at 25-1. As I've said before, I think he's £8 in hand in Cabot Cliffs, who's higher in the weights. I just think he's finished above him in a race before with Duffelcoat and Adagio. I think weight-wise, I think he's treated better. It's a tough race. 25-1, I couldn't say a horse is going to win at 25-1, but I certainly wouldn't rule him out to finish in the frame. I don't have a massive opinion in the front of the market, but we'll pass it over to Calum if you've got a fancy in this race.
I think St. Sam's the best horse in the race. Just a case of whether he's well handicapped enough. And the fact of going here when Willie Mullins' Triumph Hopes gone to the market anyway, pretty thin in the ground is quite notable. Done it with Humdor as well. Hurrendor's at a price, but dry ground will be against it. Hell Red as well. Drying ground, it's not going to get it now. So, yeah, at the top of the market, St. Sam, but I'll definitely be trying to find something on the day that's a double figure price at least.
Yeah, Riviere de Tel, obviously the horse I tipped up for the Mayor's Novice, turns up here off a mark of 134. She's one to watch. I think this is a harder race to win than I know I never thought I'd say a handicap's a harder race to win than a novice race, but I just think in here it's tougher. It's probably tougher. I think there's better horses, but Hugh Gray obviously stands out with a 128 rating, but I haven't seen enough to say I could back him.
If you like him and the gamble on Home Public, who's a neck behind him in France in heavy grounds, is interesting enough. Back down to 14-1.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
He's got a chance, but yeah, there's plenty of them to really kind of go through, and the fact that the ground's maybe altering my initial view of it. So I'll go in and change it, but I'll definitely have something in St. Sam. Yeah,
I'm going to have Balco Saint each way, and you're going for St. Sam. But we'll move on to the final race on day one. We have the Sam Vesty National Hunt Chase. Galvin, a big fancy of mine all week, is 9-4 favourite. Next destination's been well fancied at 10-3. Iscaria 10, 5-1. Remastered 8-1, and 17-2. Lord Royal 16-1 Bath. I've been sweeting Galvin for a long time. 4 wins and 4 this season before November. Got his races in. 3 mile winner at Cheltenham. Big claims in form. He's won over 3 mile. His connections have won a 3 mile 4 Durham National. I do think he'll stay the trip, and I think he stays the trip. I think he's the best horse, and I think he'll probably win.
Yeah, most likely winner. Given Royal Pagai's out, going Gold Cup. I think there's enough interest in behind. Lord Royal, if he puts in a clean round of jumping for once, next destination is a solid horse. He's actually rated £1 higher than Galvin. He's probably a concrete steer as well. Iscaria 10 is interesting here. He should probably get the trip. And Remastered is interesting, given the rain's coming for him. I do quite like him. Snow Leopardess I wouldn't entirely rule out either. The rest don't really seem to be good enough. I haven't nailed anything down at all yet for this. I liked Happy Go Lucky initially, but they've definitely made the right decision going Ultima.
Yeah, definitely.
Rather than here.
Yeah, I'm in the Galvin camp, and we'll just get you a pick.
Probably
Remastered. We'll move on to the Wednesday, where we'll start off with the Ballymore Novices Huddle. Great race to start off. Bob Bollinger 2-1, Gaillard du Mesnil 11-4, Brave Man's Game 3-1, and 11-1 Bath. Everybody knows where I stand in Bob Bollinger. I've tipped him up at 16-1 in the first episode to win any race. If he wins here, I will be having lobster and caviar for dinner on Wednesday night.
Marvellous. I hope he does. The market's kind of moved itself quite rapidly to back this horse. It seems to be the new Irish kind of, certainly not as Huddle banker. Long we appreciate it. This isn't a penalty kick though.
No, not at all.
Two brilliant, equally as good rivals in Gaillard du Mesnil and Brave Man's Game. I'm finding them hard to split for sure. I quite like Kescon Risk, but again, there might be a bit of a cutting ground at the start of Wednesday. That would probably be enough to do him in. Bear Gills doesn't jump well enough, even though he has a fantastic engine.
Do we think here though that it could be like, if you could have 3 different scenarios? If it turns into a speed contest, would you fancy Bob Bollinger? If it turns into a staying contest, would you fancy Brave Man's Game? And Gaillard du Mesnil if it's going into the last hurdle, I think he's probably the best jumper out of the three. What do you think?
I think Brave Man's Game's the best jumper out of the three.
Right.
If he gets into a rhythm at the front from the shallow hurdle, I think he can be quite hard to stop. Particularly if he goes sensible, strong pace, that would suit him. He's definitely he's probably the strongest stayer. Gardemir probably it's a combination of both, staying and speed, and Bob Allens was all speed really in comparison to his stamina profile.
Yeah,
it really is a tactical toss-up on the day, I think. Galdemir might have just had a hard race last time, so yeah. I'm a bit against him. I'm still torn between Bob Allens and Brave Man's Game. I think I'll wait till the day and see what the market moves are and what the actual definitive ground is as well. Yeah,
definitely. But I'm in the Bob Ollinger camp. We'll move on to the 155, the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. Monkfish 8-15, the Big Breakaway 5-1, Eclat de Rire 8-1, 12-1 bar. It's just a case of sitting here and watching a superstar, I think, and hoping the Big Breakaway finishes second.
Yeah, same for me, but hoping Eclat de Rire finishes second.
Right.
But Monkfish should bulk up.
I think he's a superstar. I mean, you've been on here saying how that it's the best novice chasing performance you've ever seen. You think he would win the Gold Cup this year. Do you worry about ground? No. Do you think he's good enough? Do you think he's good enough to do it?
No, barring any mishap or something that goes wrong, he'll win this.
Yeah, 2 votes for Monkfish, and I think the Big Breakaway will be second. We'll move on to the 230, the Coral Cup. Always a hard race, and this year is no different. Grand Noir 7-1, Kashari 9-1, Botox Haas 11-1, Monte Cristo and Craig Niche 12-1, Thomas Darby, Birchdale 14-1 and 20-1 bar. Callum, you've been very keen in Grand Noir for a long time. What about him, do you think?
Yeah, ran well at Naas in front of Beacon Edge last time, and then came out and turned over Fury Road in a Grade 2. Also won quite well at Limerick in a really strong race, and that was in both of them were in heavy ground. Hammered likes of Wolf Prince, beat Gallop and Deschamps. 149 makes life a bit tricky, but he's a very progressive 5-year-old here, and if he's as progressive as I think he is, probably a Grade 2 operator. Could win this in graded fashion like Dan the Company did last year. Nicky Henderson's record has been well documented on here. I think Craig Niche is the best of them. So I haven't seen anything to change my mind on that. It's just whether I can back up that run that he had last time when he was off for a while as well. It's trying to negate that bounce factor of him. Those are the two that I'm quite interested in the Coral Cup.
My best each way value bet of the week goes in here, and it's Botox Haas for the Moors. I think he's very well handicapped off 142. Good form up against the likes of All Mankind. He's been a bit unlucky in his handicaps this season. He's been kind of run off 2 mile 3, 2 mile 4, and always keeping on. I think an extra furlong could bring out a bit better in him. 11-1. I think I'm on at 25 as well. So he's very, very interesting. I like Botox Haas. Nothing really in behind I feel could be kind of contender. I know a lot of money's come in for Thomas Darby over the past couple of days, but apart from Botox Haas, I don't really have a strong opinion. But you're going for Grand Noir and I'm going for Botox Haas?
Yeah, Grand Noir and Craig Niche.
Brilliant. We'll move on to the 305, the Queen Mother Champion Chase. We obviously had some news about Altior this morning. First of all, what's your thoughts on that?
Bad scope that ruled him out. The fact I wasn't surprised probably says it all, really. I think I do suspect that he's probably the old boy's having a few problems now, isn't he, behind the scenes, and yeah, hopefully we can see him again before the season's out. They may retire him. I don't know. It's a shame he's not going to be there though. Yeah,
definitely. But Shakan Passoir leads the market here, 10-11. Nubi Negra 8-1. Politologan put the kettle on 10-1, 14-1 bar. I think it's another short price favourite that's just going to win here. Shakan Passoir, absolutely love him. I think the only worry that a lot of people have, I don't have it, but a lot of people have the worry that he's never been around Cheltenham before. He's done it in Leopardstown. He's done it in a hard track. I think he's probably he's by far the best horse here, best jumper. I think everything will go right on the day. I think Shakan Passoir is your winner here.
Yeah, if everything goes right in the day, I think that's the reason why some people are kind of keen to take him on. Never been around Cheltenham, he has handled an undulating track once before. That's probably not as bad as Cheltenham, but it still ticks a box. He's a beautifully balanced horse. So I don't really see how Cheltenham could be unsuitable to a horse that's not rated 173 anyway, because he takes everything in his stride. All ground comes alike anyway to him. He really should win this. Nubia Negra's now almost second favourite. That could have been a flash at the pan at Kempton, and we've still not really seen Altior since, have we? And the fact that he's a scope badly, though, it's a bit of a negative there because he was probably below par that day. Politolog's solid enough, he'll probably make the running. Comes into equation, but only from each way purposes if Shaq and Poursois misfires. Put the kettle on with like this recent rain not to come as well. Same with Sur Royal. Same with Rouge Vif, who's the one I quite like at a price.
Yeah.
There is somehow a monsoon from now, and there is soft on Wednesday. First floor might have a chance, but I'd be alarmed how far right he tends to jump here. I mean, if you watch his run at Cheltenham when he was in the Supreme, he was an absolute lunatic when he was similarly well fancied. I mean, if you thought Astarian Forlorn's jumped right in the Supreme, watch that Supreme back. Seriously. And Notebook's another one that does it like Cheltenham. Grenadine's probably not good enough. So if you want to take Shaq and Poursois on, you'll have to probably take the whole field with you, because you'll be taking it in quantity rather than quality against him, I think. Rouge Vif, if the ground dries out, I think he's way too short in comparison to Nubia Negra. He hammered Nubia Negra at Wincanton last year with 7 lengths, and then he won a handicap over course and distance at Cheltenham of 156. He was third in an Arkle when he hated the ground. If the word good is in it, I think he's probably the each way play the race, and maybe even without the favourite market. Yeah,
I'd agree with you on that. I think if the ground dries out, I could see him, but I think Shaq and Poursois wins here. We'll move on to the 340 at Cheltenham, the cross country, another race I can't even begin to look at it. Easiest Land's even money. Potter's Corner, Tiger Row, 11-2, 10-1 bar. If Easy's Land turns up the way he was last year, he'll win the race, but I think there's more doubt in Easy's Land than any other favourite of the week, I think, because we don't know what conditions he's in. He wasn't impressive in his return out in November at Cheltenham. I know it was a handicap, and I know he wasn't actually as bad as it probably looks, but again, you're banking on him being the same horse he was this time last year.
Yes, I think ground holds the key here, really. If it's soft and he'll probably run to his mark, he'll definitely win this, without a doubt. If it's firm and he's probably a bit vulnerable. Felix de Giles being on instead of Jonathan Plogan is probably a plus. But the fact that Gigginstown as well, I think, are Balco de Flo and Alpha de Beau in this, doesn't inspire confidence in Tiger Roll for me.
No, not at all.
I think Balco de Flo is a suspect stare. Alpha de Beau could be interested in this, but he's pulled up the last twice, hasn't he? I've taken a dart at a price at Lebroy. I just think if they go from the front and they make it a real stamina test and good ground, it will get Easy's Land's jumping really out of his comfort zone. It might beat him. He might struggle. He's had these kind of wee niggly problems in the background, hasn't he? Bad scopes, missed engagements in France. The nature of the race is 3 mile 6 with a lot of obstacles to jump as well. And he almost fell last year. He made a really bad mistake at the 8th, I think. He does need to get into a rhythm, and there is enough. There's late evens. I mean, if you're keen to back Shaq and Poursois and Monkfish and maybe even Sir Gerhard or Kilcroot, you have to think the law of averages. One of these shorties might falter, and it might be this race. So might not be too interested in it. Lebroy, Defi Dakar as well is one at a price a bit interested in at 40-1. Pull up last time in a regulation race, but he was second in the race at Sumnet, one that he really should have won if he was positioned well in the home straight.
Yeah.
He's only 8, he improved, but yeah, I'll just be taking a few darts against Easy's Land. I can let him win and leave him alone at even money.
Yeah, I'm similar to you. The Balco de Flow, I know Rachel Blackmore's booked on, which I think could be a big plus. But you're going by, I know, but again, it's just it's a race where I cannot pick this race for the life of me. I think it's one of those races I'll be sitting back and watching Easy's land. I would love to see Tiger roll in, but I genuinely, I do not think he's much of a chance. I know it's a poor race, but for a couple of people in preview nights have said they were encouraged by his run at Navan. They must have been watching a different race to what I was, because I just didn't see anything in that race.
Yeah, Potter's Corner could run better. I mean, Gather in a better form now.
Yeah,
he could be a viable candidate
for
it. But yeah, it's not a great renewal, and
no, not at all.
They've taken a couple of long shot darts against Easy's land and LeBroy and Defy Dakar at the moment. Yeah,
definitely. But we'll move on to the 4:15, the Grand Annual. Sky Pirate embittered and took us at 6-1, Sansa 8-1, and 14-1 Bath. You are very keen on Zanza, so tell us why Zanza is the one to back in this race.
Yeah, he's the one for me. I think it's just the best handicap British horse over fences at the moment. He fell last time out Cheltenham when he was absolutely bucking along brilliantly, jumping everything cleanly, and then he made a mistake. He was travelling as well as Sky Pirate was in that race, and he would have beaten Ibilio for sure. He was giving them weight in the day. He's now getting £7 off Sky Pirate and £9 off Ibilio, when it was kind of role reversal last time. I think he's £16 and £17 better off with those pair. So he's probably £7 to £10 well in my opinion. He's falling behind All Mankind is good. Hacked up Newbury in between his fall and being second to All Mankind. He's only 7. I do like his claims. Apparently he's been schooling quite well, so the fall shouldn't affect him too much. A bit worried about the track slightly. Whether you want to wade in again now at 8s is another thing. I think Embittered is certainly the one to beat out the O'Brien pair. I would respect him took us, but I think Embitter's just get that bit of graded form behind him. Rachel Blackmore's on board, I believe, as well. From the declaration, so that's quite ominous. It's one at a big price here. I quite like. The outsider, Orjon de Somoza at 40-1.
Okay.
He's been crying out for better grounds, and he was 40-1 at Leopardstown, where he crept into a place in 6th in the Dublin Racing Festival, and he was staying on quite well. Got kind of outpaced, stayed on, but it was a really big boost in his performance. I think he's well handicapped. He's got a big one in him. But I mean, the likes of Intukas were 4th, the Shunters 3rd, came out to win since, and the Wave of the Sea won it. 40-1 for him is a nonsense. Jack Kennedy's on board again. He's bet on a 136 horse, and he's going to get better ground, and he'll be in a better light here. So as soon as this video is out, the first thing I'll be doing is backing him at 40-1 for this.
Brilliant. I have said a few times I don't have a massive opinion in this. One interesting thing is, though, last year's winner, Chosen Mate, is ridden by Jordan Gameford, who claims 7, so he could now be off only 2 stone higher than what he won it last year, so that could interest me. But again, it's not a Sky Pirate. I just think it's too high in the weights. Embittered and Tukis deserve respect, as does Zanza, but none of them stand out to me as a proper winner. Chosen Mate, potentially, if he gets the £7, but again, don't have a massive opinion. I like the fact that Size and Potsy goes here, but again, too high in the weights. 156. He's in at 25-1. Some decent form this year, but again, it's a shot in the dark. On the slopes at 25-1 is really, really interesting. A big, too high priced. Had a really good line of form last year with Simply the Best and Peary Warra, who both went on to win at the festival. He was meant to run in the Grand Annual last year, but they decided to go to Kempton the following day. He bolted up at Kempton. He was amazing that day at Kempton. He was probably more impressive than about 95% of the rate horses that won at Cheltenham last year, the way he won that. So he could be won at a price, but again, it's not a race I'm particularly got a massive viewpoint on. But you are very keen on Xander.
Yeah, very keen on Zanza, but more from an Ante Post perspective, really. Urgeon de Savosa does interest me right at the bottom of the weights at 40-1. With Jack Kennedy in bold, it's just plain wrong. He should be half the price. And Eddie O'Leary was going all week moaning about how it's €650 an extra horse and on the line down. I mean, why would you enter a 40-1 shot then if you're going to fill out the extra paperwork and the extra money to go over? So you must think that he has some sort of claims if you're going to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Him at 40s and Sansa Ante Post.
Brilliant. But we'll move on to the final race on the Wednesday. We're just about halfway there. Champion bumper, Sir Gerhard 15-8, Kilcroot 2-1, 3 Stripe Life 7-1, 12-1 bar. I'm very sweet and Kilcroot. I know he's now not favourite, but I think he's still the best horse in this race. Best bumper performance I've seen in a long time. Paul Townend's on board. I just think it's a great chance. I'm on it 11-1 to win this race a couple of months ago, so I'm very sweet on him. But it'll be a fascinating race.
Yeah, Rachel Blackmore's on Sir Gerhard. Could really be a Rachel Wednesday.
Could do.
Some book of rides. Seen her entries. Yeah, they're very good. I prefer Sir Gerhard to Kilcroot slightly.
Right.
I like 3 Stripe Life each way. It's not much of an each way price now. Yeah, not much of an opinion beyond that. I'll stick with 3 Stripe Life.
Brilliant. But we'll move on to the Thursday on the new course where the Mars Novices Chase. We will see Envoy Alain going for his third straight festival win, 4-6 to do so. Shanblue 13-2, Chantry House 8-1, Chatham Street Lad 10-1, 16-1 bar. Envoy Alain, absolute superstar. Love him to bits. I just hope he wins here.
Yeah, just hope the change of stable hasn't done anything to knock him. I don't think it will. I think he'll win this probably quite comfortably. And I think Chantry House might be second best. I think
Envoy Alain will win. I think Chatham Street Lad could be second best. I think he's won over course and distance. He's won a very handicap at the festival, handicap at the racecourse extremely well. I think he could be a play each way at 10-1, but I think it's just one of those things. I just hope Envoy Alain wins the race. But we'll move on to the per temps final at 155 on the Thursday. Imperial Alcazar 5-1, the Bosses Oscar 6-1, Champagne Platinum 7-1 and 10-1 bar. I don't have a massive opinion on this. So I'm just going to give the floor to you to try and pick me a winner more than the viewers, because I'm struggling with this race big time.
Yeah, not a fan of Imperial Alcazar, the favourite. Don't think he's well handicapped enough. Winning qualifiers just don't seem to win this. Off 11-8, that seems tough to me. Champagne Platinum's very well handicapped, just whether he's got the stamina for it. Haydock suggested that he might. Boss's Oscar isn't very well handicapped, but it's probably the class horse of the race anyway. You'd imagine they've utilised Sean Gainford. It's a £7 claim. He does have a big chance, if he is the same mould as a Saturday Bell or the Storyteller, isn't he? But it is an if. We don't know. He might be, he might not be. He's priced accordingly. Southfield Harvest and Mrs. Milner at 14-1 interests me as well.
Southfield Harvest probably one I've come down on, but again, it's just an each way play. I just can't. Champagne Platinum, I think you're right. If he stays, he's probably you've said he's the best. Well, he's the best handicapped hurdle horse of the week in the UK. He would need if he stays the trip, I think, but it's just a hard race for me.
Yeah, at that price, I would probably recommend now Mrs. Milner and Southfield Harvest, 14-16-1 each. But yeah, it's always a bit of a punter's trap, Ante Post and on the day as well. But you'll probably get more places come tomorrow when we know the final declaration. Yeah,
definitely. But we'll move on to the 2:30. The Ryanair Chase, very competitive renewal this year. Probably that and the battle at the two hardest Grade 1s of the week. Alho 4-1, Imperial War 11-2, Min 6-1, Melon and Mr. Fisher 7s, 8-1, Fakir du Dries and Calvados, and 14-1 bar. Tough race to pick. I've changed my mind about 5 or 6 times since we started this episode. It's that much of a competitive race. Alho, I think, is the most talented horse, and I think they are doing the right thing trying him at this trip, because I said last year if he'd went to the Marsh, he'd have probably won it. I think he's definitely suited to that shorter trip. Min, I've tipped man up for the show after the John Durkin, but slight worry about what happened the last time. I watched it back yesterday to try and kind of prepare for what I would say on here. It makes two bad mistakes, but apart from that, there's nothing wrong. That doesn't suggest to be anything wrong. But again, it's just one of those things I don't like seeing before getting into a big race for us. I've came down in Fakir Douderi at 8-1. I think he's well suited to this kind of trip. He's been unlucky the past 2 years at the festival. Best form comes over this trip, but it's a very, very tough race. But I would probably say Fakir Douderi at 8-1 would be my slight preferred option here.
Yeah, wide open. I like Mellon most though. I'll stick with him. Go 8s. He's now 6s. I think he'll probably go back out once Paul Townend chooses, I would assume, Allaho.
I think it will be Allaho now, yeah.
I just think Mims has got out of his comfort zone because he was taking on the lead by nobody. I think he just needs to make all.
Yeah.
He's now 10. Does he have the tactical speed to do that?
Yeah,
not if Mellon is ridden the way that I hope he is.
And Allaho could do that as well.
The history of the Ryanair, it's won by old running front jumpers who have speed. Mellon's been runner up in the Champion Huddle twice, runner up in the Supreme. He's got 2 mile pace. He jumped exceptionally well in the Savills Chase. Forget about the Irish Gold Cup run where he was held up. They tried different tactics, switching him off. He didn't like that. I think he's a rock solid each way chance in this.
Yeah, I would give Sam Crow a mention as well at 14-1. I know me and Sam Crow have a very, very toxic relationship, but he's won twice at the track. He's been campaigned horribly this season, I think. I don't understand what they've tried to do with Sam Crow, but this type of trip could potentially kind of bring out a bit of life in him. He could potentially get into the places, but I've got Min each way. I'd be happy. I'd be delighted if Min won, but if you were to if you were to say who would you back on the day, I'd probably go for Fakir Douderi.
Mellon for me.
Mellon, brilliant. But we'll move on to the Stairs Huddle. I'm sad about Time Hill not making the race. It was one of those. Friday was just a sad day, wasn't it? We were hearing all these news about horses not going, and Time Hill was one of them. But Paisley Park 15-8, Sad the Belly 4-1, Flooring Porter 7-1, Vindication 8-1, which I'm keen to get your thoughts on. 10-1, Bar Fury Road's in there at 10-1. But what do we think of the Stairs Huddle?
Yeah, disappointing. Time Hill's not there. Takes the edge off the race a little bit for me. Fury Road, I think is interesting now. If you like Time Hill, then you're a big believer of the Albert Bartlett form, which is rock solid in latest exhibition, Monkfish, Fury Road, and Time Hill. Yeah, and if all those 4 ran in this year's Albert Bartlett, they'd win probably by half the track. And so if Time Hill's out, Fury Road really should have been the one to come in for money. He seems to be, because he's now in 7-1 places. I'd be quite sweet in that line. I'd probably stick with him. Flooring Porter's interesting from the front. I don't understand the gamble and Vindication personally.
No, I don't either.
Just don't think Cheltenham's his track, and his form over fence I think's probably slightly better. Similar with Storyteller, really. He's probably he's a sound enough yardstick, but you'd be a bit disappointed if something with younger legs didn't have the beating of him. You can see the each way appeal at Lesnar Oscar has also been well punted upon. Will Paisley Park fire? Who knows? If he does, he is a likely winner, but his price is short.
I think Flooring Porter could be a good HB pick here. I think the improvement of this horse is crazy. He's now rated 160. I think he was 97 at the start of the season. That's a tremendous appeal. As you said, if you pointed out a lot, if the Boss's Oscar wins the Pertemps final, Flooring Porter could be closer, could be second favourite on the day. I think he could be gambled off the boards on the Thursday if the Boss's Oscar wins, and I think
he has a pace angle, isn't he? But Little Rockefeller and Sam Spinner are still holding their ground. I know they've got absolutely probably no chance really on the form book, but a pace angle that you've got that would worry you slightly with Flooring Porter. One at a wild price is Picardy's at 50-1. He's only Mullen's runner on this, but he has been third twice festival, and he fell, he was going to be third again, and he was sixth. He shouldn't be 50 to 1.
No.
He should be a bit shorter than that. 4 places at 50s. Yeah, it's probably a bit of a stretch of imagination, but out the massive outsiders, he's definitely the one that's most interesting, because he was only 4 lengths behind Honeysuckle in the Hattons Grace.
Aye, yeah, but again, Paisley Park, there's some story of Paisley Park won, but again, I would, Flooring Porter would interest me more at 7 to 1. Fury Road again would be one I'd keep my eye on, but I'm going between Flooring Porter and Fury Road. Just Flooring Porter edged it, but you are going for Fury Road.
Yeah, Fury Road. You see the money's coming for Saturday Belly because of his Cheltenham form, but I think he'd miss Barry Geraghty. I think it's a difficult ride. Yeah,
definitely. We'll move on to the 340, the Paddy Power Plate. Farclas, A Wave of the Sea, the Shunter, Caribbean Boy, all 8 to 1 and 12 to 1 bar. Now, I'm keen to get your thoughts on this, because we saw yesterday, if we were doing a recap this week, one horse we mentioned would be Conflated, who won yesterday really well at Naas. Are you baffled at why he's not going here?
It's just the cost of it all. Save some for home, and it seems to be a general trend. Owners can't go. There's arguably better prize money for what you're racing for in Ireland anyway.
Yeah.
It's probably a sensible decision. They've got enough darts in the race, haven't they? They've got Farclas. Maybe a couple others as well. Assemble might go here. Yeah, it's just if you're a massive operation in the wind down, you're not gonna send a massive army over, are you?
No.
When the cost of a horse is reportedly £650 extra for less money as well.
Yeah, definitely. But I am very sweet in the horse for connections here. Farclas 8 to 1. She's been very unlucky this season in handicaps. I think this race is tailor-made for her. She's also got the Cheltenham form that she's won the Triumph Huddle a couple of years ago, which I think is very good. A Wave of the Sea interests me as well. I'm quite glad they're actually going up and trip with him, because I think this will suit him more. But I've been suiting Farclas all along. I think she is the one to beat here.
Yeah, I have a save on Farclas. Phil Dadaris is interesting. A Wave of the Sea is obviously interesting as well. But stick with Midnight Shadow. He was overpriced from the start, still is. Stick with Champ Street Lad, he quits himself well in the Marsh. He just comes alive, coursing distance around Cheltenham, 149s. It's not the best treated horse in the world, but he'll probably run his race here. If you take a line out of the Huddle's run at Wetherby last time out, which was a fairly weak effort, but he's got really good Cheltenham form, 20 to 1. If some bookies go 6 places and that stays around, I'll probably top up on him.
Brilliant. We'll move on to the Mayor's Novices Huddle at 4:15. Hookup, Royal Kahala 9 to 2, Rosie's Hollow 6 to 1, Glens of Antrim 7 to 1 and 9 to 1 bar. We all got a charity bet for the preview night we done, and you have gone with a horse in this race.
Yeah, it's Glens of Antrim. So the longer it goes on, the more and more I quite like her claims in this. I think the mare's form, the likes of Royal Kahala against Galway, against Rosie's Hollow, is much of a muchness. It's early 140s form. It's not particularly great. Glens of Antrim against Geldings. Last time Miss Incredible beaten favourite, but it's a good run. Miss Incredible talented and forming behind the Bartlett winner Statler. Shows that she's got a bit of excess stamina. You do need to stay in this. A lot of them kind of over race early on, finish a bit weakly. Hook Up, I think it's just a flat out 2-miler. I think a stiff track here, and a combination of that and relatively poor jumping would probably see her weaken out of it maybe. Royal Kahala, Rosie's Hollow, probably Galway's now the bet because trained by Willie Mullins. So Willie Mullins wins 5 of these. Won all 5 of them. Galway and Glens of Antrim would be the 2 that I'd be quite liking.
You've kind of talked me around to Glens of Antrim, but again, it's another race I don't have much of an opinion on. I like Hook Up, but again, the jumping worries me. Royal Kahala, I just never ever taken to. Probably Glens of Antrim but again, it's another race where I just cannot have a massive opinion on, but I hope Glenza Mantrum wins.
Oh, so that definitely.
Brilliant. But we'll move on to the 450, the final race on the Thursday, the Kim Muir Challenge Cup. Another, we thought Run Wild Fred would be a very short price favourite here, but Time to Get Up is now 5-1. Disa Abba 7-1, Holden Oak 15-2, 10-1 Shantou Flyer, and 12-1 Bar. Again, it's another race I'm struggling with, but I've came down and Holden Oak. I think Holden Oak is a horse crying out for a step up and trip. I think 9 chase starts or something. He's not won a race.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the best of race. I think he's well enough. 140. Johnny Burke, I'd love to see Johnny Burke get a winner. I think this could be a good chat. I think he could be certainly in the frame for this race.
Yeah, plan of attack for me. He's crying out for better ground all season. He's been patiently waited with. His run last time out was an important sign of encouragement. I quite like these horses that come back for this year after year, like of Deshaba, Bob Marler as well. Shantou Flyers might be a bit old now, but he probably merit a bit of respect. I'll stick with plan of attack for now. Happy enough with that position.
Brilliant. I'm going for Holden Oak. We'll move on to the final day, the Friday. The 120 is a JCB Triumph Huddle. Zana here 7-4, Tritonic 2-1, Calexios 4-1, Adagio 7-1, and 12-1 Bar. I've said all along, I think Calexios has been way overpriced, but I think the market's starting to get a drift of what's going on. He's now into 4-1, which I think is the price he should have been all along. Tritonic would probably be my lay of the week. I just think Zana here and Calexios are better. I even think Adagio's a better horse than Tritonic, to be honest. Certainly value-wise.
I think the best British juvenile is Monmoral. He'll be sitting in his box with Paul Nicholls.
Yeah, but there you go. Sorry.
Sani here for me.
Right. Okay.
I like Tax for Max as a lively outsider if he settles, but
yeah,
we're not going to get the big field that we're hoping for.
No.
Which is a bit of a concern for him because it'll probably make life harder for the jockey in that occasion. Yes, I think Zana here should win this. I
think Zana here's the one to beat, but I think Calexios at 4-1 is the value bet of the race, so I'm going to go for Calexios. We'll move on to the 155 at the County Huddle. Third time lucky in Ganapathy 7-1, the Shunter 10-1, and 12-1 Bar. I've said before you were sweet in Ganapathy for the Supreme, but I think he's the best handicapped horse of the week, certainly in a Huddle's point of view. I think he's very well handicapped here. I think 7-1's a good price. I think he's a great chance if he goes here.
Yeah, I would still want him in the Supreme. Just in terms of racecourse experience, I just like novices against novices. And I think if you get a potentially high-class horse, I think you should just go for the Grade 1, particularly if there's only 8 runners in it. In the hustle and bustle of this, it's only 5. That's the only concern you'd have if he handles this big field. And he should, because he won his maiden in a 13-runner race.
Yeah.
So it should be too much of a concern. I'd rather have him than third time lucky at the top of the market for sure. I think the Shunter will probably go here. He should be respected wherever he goes because he's still quite well in, going for that 100k bonus. It's just whether that Kelso turnaround's too soon, which would worry me. I cleared the Beaufort at prices. I mean, he's £14 lower than his chase mark when he was second in the Grand Annual. And he's still got fairly good hurling form earlier on. He's taken a couple of tumbles, one over fences and one over hurdles over the season, but the plunge in him has been quite significant. I think Gigginstown have been a bit more selective with their handicap options. I think he looks destined to come here. He has a chance at 12s, fairly big chance. I don't think there's really anything under there. Gill Road could run well. Galpin de Champs, Seal de Liège. There's some decent rivals, but Eclair de Beaufort probably, and Ganapathy.
I'm going for Ganapathy. We'll move on to the 230, the Albert Ballot Novices Huddle. This is, again, like the Ryanair, a hard race to call. Startler 7-2, Barbados Boxer and Fakira 11-2, Torregraph 6-1, Ala Philippe 7s and 12-1 Bar. I want to be against Startler. I just think it's too short. I'm not saying that he's you've mentioned before, and I think a couple of other people have mentioned that he's probably going to hit the frame, but I think 72 is just too short now. a race that doesn't look competitive.
No, it's a bit of a blanket race, and it always seems to churn up these upsets more often than not. And I think this year is shaping up to be potentially quite similar. Out the Nichols pair, I prefer 3 under through 5 to Barbados Bucks. The horse he beat in Musselburgh, he was given £8 to, came out this week and won at Fontenelle in Class 4 quite nicely, over 2.5 miles. So that is worth something. They were going to Aintree straight after Musselburgh. The fact that I've come here, the fact that Paul Nichols still has a leading contender in it at the time as well, to me it's a little bit significant. I think he's probably he's the better race now.
Aye, I can see that as well. Alaphilippe, you go. Sorry,
I think Statler just hard to. He's hard to knock out the frame, but he's also hard to back.
Aye, that's what I find. Yeah,
for a win claim, Fakira is a bit slow for my liking. Although he should be suited to the race. The Torograph is still rated 143, which is just it's only £3 behind Statler, but his price is going, isn't it? Alaphilippe, his price is gone. Adramel, don't think the Leamington was a great race. Ngolo still there, who knows? It hasn't showed anything. I'm not interested in anything that's 14 to 1 or under.
Bobby Streets of Doyen.
Yeah, I like him. The ground stays okay. Like 25 to 1's fair enough for him. Pat's Fancy as well is another one at 50s. And Rebecca Curtis had Leslie Oscar from the same sire. Same kind of style as Kubrick and Storm as well. You just get that kind of outsider profile for this race that can be a 1 in a million shot, but it could come in on the day. He would really benefit. He just shapes to benefit an absolute massive grind around Cheltenham. He could be the one at a ridiculous price that could do something this race. Those are the 3 that I'm kind of homing in on at the moment.
I'm on Alaphilippe at 40 to 1. 7 to 1. I couldn't back him at that price, but I'm happy enough. If he wins at 40 to 1, then that's very good for me. Torograph, I looked at Torograph, but again, it's another. I couldn't back him at 6 to 1. Fakir is too slow. Barbados Bucks, I think, is probably the best horse, and he'll probably going to have the best career out of these lot. But again, I think it might just be a year too early, and I think he's more suited to going into it. I think he's more of a kind of stairs hurdle horse next year. I think this could bottom him if he kind of battles here. Statler, I'm against. Ngolo, I thought after the race he had against Ballyadam in the Royal Bond, he would be suited to a step up to 3 miles. I'm astonished they've not tried him over it. But again, he could be interesting. He's that Champagne Fever kind of mould of a battler. Nothing really else. Champagne Super Over possibly at 40 to 1. But again, I would probably just sit with my 40 to 1 Alaphilippe and hope he wins.
Yeah, I wouldn't put anyone off anything in this race, and I think that's the nature of it. So, I mean, I'll just side with a few at big prices. Yeah,
brilliant. But we'll move on to the big race of the week, the Cheltenham Gold Cup. Album Photo going for 3 in a row, 9 to 4. Champ 4 to 1. Appletard 5 to 1. Royal Pagaille 8 to 1. 11 to 1 bar. Album Photo, do we go with or do we take him on?
Yeah, I'm happy to stick with him. Yeah, I think he's just got about enough on his sleeve to hold these off. I think Appletard's the main threat. Look, even though I've got doubts about stamina, I think he's got enough class to stay up there with him for a long way. Champs of similar mould, I think those two will try and creep into it. I think it will suit Appletard more than Champ. The worry for me about Appletard was his jumping was quite sticky last time in the Ryanair, but he kept trying galloping to the line. Yeah, it suggests that he would certainly suit 3 miles. The extra quarter of a mile in a Gold Cup is a bit of an unknown. I thought that he was kind of just seeing it out better than other horses in the Savills chase that were really tired, and he was just a bit tired. And I know some people have a different opinion of that. You're banking in Manila Indo to spark back to life at Cheltenham. I personally don't understand the hype about Royal Pagaille. Frodon taken on for lead with Native River, but the ground will go against Native River. It will probably come in favour for Santini. Try headgear, but it still looks a bit of a complex ride. Maybe he can run into a place. But yeah, I just think there's enough for Albin Photo to hold on and win this.
Yeah, I probably think that as well. Royal Pagaille, I know he ran a career best in the Haydock, but I think it would probably need to come up really soft. I'm glad he's going here. I'm glad he's taking his chance, but again, I like him. I like the horse. I think he's a pound higher than Champ in the ratings, which no, it's hard to.
It's whether you believe. It's whether you believe his rating or not.
But Albin Photo, I think I'd love to see it. Three Gold Cups in a row. I don't know if he'll be thought of the same if the likes of Best Mate if he wins a third in a row. But again, he's done nothing wrong. He's been campaigning. I think he's probably the best campaign horse of the year in most cases. But Champ, again, I would love to see him win a Gold Cup. I think it'd be brilliant for connections, but I'm just a bit worried about his jumping. I know he jumped well with Newbury in the Game Spirit, but a Tesla at Cheltenham, he didn't jump well at all in last year's RSA. It was his stamina that won him the race. And I would just worry about that. Albin Photo isn't the best jumper either, but I can't split them. I can't have Santini. I would rather back nothing than back Santini. Can't back Frodon. Native River needs soft ground. Kenboy each way at 14-1 could potentially be my play in the race. I think if I know he won't do what I want him to do. I want him to go from the front, but he'll never do it. But if it was to cut up into a bad race and Kenboy was still in the frame, I think he's potentially one to keep an eye on. But again, Albin Photo, I'd love to see win. And Albin Photo or Champ. If either of them win, I'll be happy.
Yeah, same. But I'll swap Champ with Aplutal.
Brilliant. But we'll move on to the 340, the St James's Palace Hunters Chase, formerly the Fox Hunters. You have a strong fancy in this race.
Was strong. Maybe not so strong as it was because of the amateur situation. The concern about Billoway is Bob Townsend on board, which is normally a massive plus, but he's either going to be as high as a kite or on the floor after Albin Photo, won't he? It'd be quite hard 35 minutes later to get that out of your system and to ride in a glorified Kim Muir in some instances because the amateurs aren't here. Bob and Cohen, good ground, not for me. It Came to Pass has a chance and better ground. He's got to throw out the run last time, but he did it last year as well, so maybe not much of a concern. Red Indian's a bit of a doubtful stayer. Staker Wallace, I don't think is good enough. Hazel Hill is now 13. Two at a massive break. Shamaron and Porlock Bay are two 14, 16-1 shots that could hit the frame. But yeah, the rest I think you're kind of scratching at a bit in behind. It's a race that doesn't really spark too much interest generally for me, even less now the amateurs aren't there because it's their Gold Cup and they should be there. It's a bit of a shame. I do think Billoway is still the best horse in the race. If he jumps properly, he'll win.
I think if I would worry about Billoway's jumping and Bob and Co. I just think they're both not suited to a track like Cheltenham. It Came to Pass. I know it was very disappointing last time out, but it would probably just be my pick here. But I'm not. Another race, I feel as if there's a lot of races I'm just avoiding, but I generally just can't put a finger on it. It Came to Pass, I tipped up before his run, but if we come back to the form of last year, I would see Richard McLaren's on board. Good chance. I think he's probably the bet in the race for me. So It Came to Pass for me, and you're going with Billoway. We'll move on to the 4:15, the newly formed Mares Chase, where we have a very strong favourite, LMA at 6-5, Call Reevy 3-1, Shattered Love 5-1. No Annie Mac, which I've just noticed she's not running. Were you aware of that?
No, I think she is.
She's not on the betting here. I think there's. Yeah, she suffered a small setback and will not run in the Mares Chase on Friday. according to John Joe O'Neill, which I imagine is very disappointing for
That's
connections.
Yeah.
But Ellie May 65, I think now, I mean, Annie Mac was my one to take on Ellie May with, that came up soft, but I just think now Ellie May's probably the best. Ellie May's probably the best bet of the week on Friday for me. No.
Yeah, thing is at Colreevy, if it's good ground as we expect by this time Friday for sure, Ellie May is probably a strong fancy because I think Charlove would like some cutting the ground. Colreevy certainly would.
Mm-hmm.
And all our best forms right-handed. Colreevy's front. This trip looks a bit too short for Magic Light these days. Happy Diva would have a squeak if came here. Salsaretta was favourite for this race from the start. Maybe better ground might spark an life. He's trained by Willie Mullins. I don't think she should be 16-1. I think she's probably worth a bit of each way interest in that race because she certainly has talent. She absolutely thumped Galvin last season in a novice race by 7 lengths. I think it was it Punchestown? Punchestown, 8 lengths. She hammered them. It was some performance. There is a talented horse there. So at the prices and on no talent, a bit like the Mares Novices Huddle, stick with Willie Mullins. Don't like the Colreevy one, so Salsaretta each way. But Ellie May is a big fancy, yeah.
Yeah, I think Ellie May will win. I can't see past her, to be honest now. Annie Mac I potentially could have played, but again, Ellie May will probably just win. Final race, the 28th race, we're nearly there. The Martin Pipe Conditional Jockeys Handicap Huddle, the only race of the week that I think is the only race of the week that I'm struggling to pinpoint what's going to turn up. And Gentleman Demi is 11-2, Ganapathy 15-2, Langer Dan 8-1, 12-1 bar. I have a couple here that I quite like. Gabinaco for Gavin Cromwell, I think, is probably a better horse than he's been this season. And Fire Attack for Joseph O'Brien, I think, will probably suit the step up and trip. So they were the two I would play. What about yourself? Is there anything you fancy in this race?
Probably the least interesting race of the week for me in terms of opinion wise. I'm happy enough to wait till see the 48-hour declarations at this stage. So there's a couple of long shots on the radar. Saint Sonnet, if he came here, Paul Nicholls is just not at a good time over fences since finishing 7th, I think, in the Marsh. Back over hurdles is a sensible move. 25-1. He's only 6. It's not too bad. Millgreen as well for Nicky Henderson's been campaigning a similar mould to last year when he placed at a big price. He's 25-1. Yeah, I think that's probably about it. I mean, Amwell Denis as well is not a bad horse. He's not particularly well handicapped, but he's 33-1. Gentle Demis seems to be backed in like a good thing. He might well be Willie Mullins' horse that's kind of well fancied and chucked in for this. I mean, he's had some really good Gold Cup types win this in the past. Kiltivic won it, for instance. Has some real nice horses here. Hope Ganapathy doesn't go here.
No, I hope he doesn't either. There's one I would say I might like would be Leon Cavallo for David Pipe. I know he was meant to run on Saturday before the incident with, I think it was a truck or something. It was something bizarre, but he could potentially be one at 33-1, but I don't have a massive opinion. If I was to pick one, I'd probably pick Gabinaco, but again, it's another tough race.
No selection here at all until the declarations come.
Yeah. We made it 28 races. Sorry for boring everyone, but we've got just a couple of more things to do, and then we'll be focusing on tomorrow. Your best bet for each day, Callum. Day 1, what would be your best bet of the day?
Oh, it caught me off guard with that. Happy Go Lucky in Ultima. I'm
going to go for Appreciating the Supreme, Galvin and the National Hunt Chase. Wednesday, I'm going to go for I will go for Botox Haas in the Coral Cup.
Zan's in the Grand Annual.
Thursday, I will go for Far Class in the Paddy Power.
Plains of Antrim, Mares Novices Huddle.
Brilliant. Friday, I'll go for Calexios in the Triumph.
Ellie May in the Mares Chase.
Brilliant. we are near enough there. One more thing to do. We are going to finalise our portfolio of Ante Post picks. I will post them on our social media channel tonight. The ones we have. Are you get any more to make, Callum?
Yeah, 3 under through 5 and Albert Bartlett.
Okay.
16 to 1.
Brilliant.
I would worth on him. He's quite good muscle, but scope to improve. Ground was soft. He looked like he'd probably appreciate a bit of better ground. Had a look around it over the seconds came out and won since. He was given that £8. There's a bit of substance to the form. In a race where outsiders can quite often prevail, they've rerouted him from Aintree to here. Suggests he probably came out the race quite well, and he's maybe above their initial expectations in relation to Barbados Bucks. So I think he probably should be a lot shorter. Yeah, I'll take him at 16s.
Brilliant. I'm going to go for, I know you've picked him, but I'm going to pick him in a different race. I'm just going to put Ganapathy up because I think he's rock solid at 7 to 1 for the county hurdle. Hope he goes here. I don't imagine he'll go Martin Pipe. I think they'll come to their senses and run him here. As you've said all along, he was very, very unlucky in the Moscow Flyer. Ran over a trip that probably didn't suit in the Dublin Racing Festival, but now 2 miles, good ground. I think it could be very, very interesting here.
Yeah, he's certainly of interest whenever he goes. I do think you do have to think it's all about interpretation. I think there's a serious horse there. I think he's at least mid 150s in the future. Brilliant.
So we'll go final question. Best bet of the week, lay of the week, and best each way play of the week. I will go first. I'll go for best bet, Bob Ollinger in the Ballymore. Lay of the week, Tritonic in the Triumph. And each way pick, I will go for Botox Haas in the Coral Cup.
Best bet's LMA in the Mares Chase. Lay of the week, I was going to say Tritonic. I'll be a bit different. Easiest Land.
Okay.
In the cross country. And each way. Each way, Midnight Shadow on the plate.
Brilliant. It's been an absolute pleasure to do this series, everybody. We're 20 episodes in. Will we come back for a review show?
I think we should, yeah.
I think we should.
Done the preview show, so.
Brilliant. We'll do a review next week. We will be in touch about that. But all I can say to everybody is, please gamble responsibly. Enjoy the week. Hopefully we've helped you in the past 20 weeks pick some winners. It's been an absolute pleasure for us to do this show, isn't it, Callum? I've loved every minute of doing it.
Yeah, definitely. It's just all about final preparations, final selections, seeing what the ground is, the declarations come in, and fine tuning everything. Yeah, it's been fun to do, particularly in the era of lockdown. So yeah, all good. Hopefully, great week's racing ahead.
Brilliant. We will also, myself and Callum, I posted my day one preview on our WordPress website today. I imagine, Callum, are you writing as well this week?
Yeah, I'll do it on blog. I'll leave it as late as possible because of the ground.
Yeah, definitely. I think I went too early, but
later the better.
We will be sharing all this on our social media pages. Thank you very much to everybody that's tuned in. Have a wonderful festival, and we will see you next week for a review. Cheers, everyone.